Well, hey there, folks. I am Dr. Mark Grimes, and I am very pleased to be able to guide you this semester through human resource management in the spring semester 2021 as part of the GSW Master's program. In this video, I want to do a couple of things. First of all, I want to give you the 3-minute overview of who is this Dr. Grimes character, so you know a little bit about me. And then I want to take some time and go through the syllabus. So before we get to that point, you want to make sure that you print out the syllabus that should be attached to this email that has this link in it, so that you can make notes on the syllabus paper as we talk. I'm going to assume that by the time we get to that point in this video, you will have already printed it out. Good thing if you don't is that with this link in this email, you can go back at any time and watch the video. And you might choose to do that at some time during the semester. If you get to thinking that he is not doing what he said in his video and in his syllabus, you can go back and you can prove to me where I've gotten off base. First thing I hope that you find out about from me is that I'm a human being. I'm just a regular old guy. There is nothing special about me except that I've been to school a little bit longer and got a few extra letters behind my name. But I'm really down to earth. I'm easy to talk to. I'm very, very approachable. I'm very quick to respond when you email me. You will see on the syllabus in just a few minutes that I give you my cell phone number, and if you text me and you tell me who you are and which one of my classes you're in, I'm pretty quick to respond to that to let you know the answer to the question that you have. So I want you to first and foremost take away this guy is very down to earth. He's just a good fella. He cares about me as a student. He's very responsive. He knows a little bit about the topic, and he really wants me to gain something from this class that I can use in real life. The quick background on me is that I was born in Atlanta in 1964. That puts me at 50 some odd years of age. My mom and dad are still together. Dad turns 90 later in January. They will be celebrating their 60th wedding anniversary in April. I have an older brother, Rick, and a younger sister, Julie. Both are very, very successful in the Atlanta area. Neither one of them got beyond their bachelor's degree. I'm the only one in my family that's ever gotten a master's and the only one that's ever got a doctorate, but they're all wildly successful in their own areas. My dad worked for the Coca-Cola company for about 33 or 35 years, the only real job he ever had, coming out of college, going into the Army. Coming back from that, joining the Coca-Cola company and working there for 30 some odd years. He's been retired now for as long as he worked. It's amazing how fast time goes by. I am married, and we have been married for, I think, 23 years, 24 in June. We have 5 children. 3 of them are adopted. Heaven is 33 years old. Natasha is 31, and she's a graduate of GSW with a marketing degree. Rachel is 21. She is a graduate of GSW with a management degree. Heaven and Natasha were adopted when they were a little bit older. Rachel is our firstborn. Then Sarah is 18. She is a senior in high school, wants to go to Georgia State and study psychology. And then Paul is also adopted. He's 9, and he's in the 4th grade here in town. My educational background, I have a bachelor's degree in religion from Samford University in Birmingham, Alabama. Thought that I might be a preacher one day. The plans for my life were kind of close, but a little bit off. I do talk for a living. I do a lot of research for a living. I just don't stand in front of a church and teach. I stand in front of a classroom in college and teach. I have a master's degree from Kennesaw State College, now Kennesaw State University. The master's is in management. And I have a DBA, a Doctor of Business Administration, which is similar to a PhD, from Argosy University. Well, when I started, it was the University of Sarasota. That's in Sarasota, Florida, and that doctorate degree is in management as well. So a lot of training in management, a good bit of training in religion, which includes things like how to relate to people, how to understand the people, how to speak, those kinds of things. Hobbies include church activities and doing Cub Scout stuff with Paul, working in the yard. I'm a big Alabama football fan. I'm also a Georgia Tech football fan. I root for Georgia most days of the year. But that's pretty much me. Hopefully that gives you a little background as to who I am. At this point, I want to shift to the topic to our syllabus and talk you through that so that hopefully you don't have any questions going into this. And it was my intention to get you this before the semester started so you can go, I don't want to do this, it's time to bail. I hope that none of you will do that. If you stick it out through the semester, I can almost guarantee you an A in most cases, a B in the few remaining cases. Only if you just kind of go absent during the semester do you have to worry about a C in this class. It's not a difficult class, requires a little bit of work, a lot of good information, and we'll kind of cover in the syllabus what our goals are, what our plan is to accomplish those goals. So if you have the syllabus, go ahead and look at page 1. Up at the top, I've got my instructor contact information, my GSW email address that comes straight through to my phone, so I can get those no matter whether I'm in the office or not. My cell phone is the 0513 number. Go ahead and bookmark that in your phone. And as I'm going to mention later on in the syllabus, you might even write it down on a piece of paper and have it somewhere where a family member can find it in the event that you, God forbid, get COVID and are in the hospital for 2 weeks on a ventilator. Somebody can pick up that card and send me a text and say, hey, Johnny's not in good sorts right now. He's going to be out for 2 weeks, and at least I know why you've gone silent if that's the case. My office on campus, if you ever happen to be there, is room 214. My goal is to be in my office Monday through Friday from about 8:30 to about 2:30, but at least the first part of the semester, that's not going to be the case. My daughter Sarah has had some health problems for the last year that keeps her at home rather than at school, and most days when I'm not in class teaching an undergraduate class, I'm home with her to make sure everything's okay. We're hoping that she's going to be back in school by February, but we'll see. I'll let you know if I get back into my daily routine on campus. The catalog description, basically in a nutshell, is that we recognize that a lot of people in the master's program don't have business backgrounds. They might, even if they have a business background in accounting or marketing or whatever, might not have really learned much about human resources and what that's all about. So the purpose of this class is to get you deep into what HR does. If you're in the working world, hopefully you'll be able to better relate to your HR people. If you've always thought that they're the policemen of the organization, or they're the ones who make all those crazy policies and yell at us and fire us when we're in trouble, you'll begin to look at them like a very valuable resource. And as you as a manager get into certain situations where you think, this is not the most logical thing, instinctual kind of thing, that what you'll do is pick up the phone and call HR. That during the course of this semester, you will become close with one of your HR people in your organization so that they will not think twice when they see your name on the speed dial there on the display on their phone, that you'll be contacting them a lot and getting a lot of good guidance from them. That's the point of this class, is to see how HR functions in a good role, those that are doing it right, and how they can be a resource for you to make your job as a manager a whole lot easier. In the learning outcomes, you can look over that. The textbook that we're going to use is not a book. It's a membership to SHRM, the Society for Human Resource Management, down towards the bottom of page 1 here on our syllabus. If you'll go to shrm.org, you'll see a button for membership, and I'm looking for you to get a student membership. It's cheaper. Professional memberships, academic memberships are, 200 and some odd dollars a year. The student membership is like $40, and it's good for a solid year. It's 12 months from the date you start. So you'll use it for the 4 months of this class, but then you've got access to SHRM for the next 8 months or so. And you might find that there's so much good information in there that even after this class is over, you go to the SHRM every now and then and look at what's going on and what people are saying about various topics that are coming up, like the gender issue that's going on right now, and minimum wage and things like that. One important thing about the class, any class, is attendance verification for us to confirm that you're participating in the class so that your funding sources actually pay. What you'll need to do is go out and find the introductory discussion. There's some instructions there. Basically, give us all your name, where you are, Americus, Georgia, Vienna, Georgia, New York, wherever. Where you are in the program. This is, I'm taking my 5th and 6th classes, whatever. Perhaps you tell us too what your undergraduate major was in. If it wasn't business, it's interesting to us to know that you were in psychology or you were in education or whatever the case may be. So in that introductory discussion post, your name, where you're located, where you are in the course of taking classes in this program, what your undergraduate major was, and then perhaps something that's kind of interesting or different about you. And in the course of that, we'll get to know you a little bit through that discussion. There's no requirement that you post on anybody else, but feel free if you've been in classes with other people before, or if they talk about how they love to camp and you go, oh, I do too, you'll feel free to interact a little bit. If you want to, it's not required. You have to have done that by 11:59 p.m. on Sunday, January the 22nd, and you have to have taken the check-in quiz. In that check-in quiz, I'm just going to ask you for a non-GSW email like Yahoo or Bell South or Google or Gmail or whatever it is email, and for a cell phone number. Probably won't ever use those, but if you go quiet for a while and I haven't heard from you, I may try to text you or email you or something to make sure everything's okay. And that gives me an avenue to get you if I need you. Both of those are due by Sunday, January the 24th. Moving on to page 2 of the syllabus, you will see the schedule. Each week, we will look at a function of HR. And the first few functions, the development of HR, the strategy behind HR, and a general discussion about the different generations in the workforce, I'll lead those discussion topics. But after that, starting in week number 4, I'll have you in teams and you will lead those discussions. So in the first couple of weeks, get a feel for what the discussion format is like, what we need to know as a group, as a class, to be able to contribute to your discussion. And I'll talk about that in just a few minutes as well. Every week, there is a topic of something that HR does so that you begin to understand how HR can help you when you're dealing with that topic. And you can see those topics: recruiting, interviewing and hiring, training and development, appraisals, the things as a manager that you're going to do frequently. All of those things, as they deal with people, HR has an understanding of. For each one of those topics, when it is your turn, if you're in team 1, before the week begins, you'll have to give me some information about what you want the rest of the class to read. You'll give me some questions that we can use on the discussion board. And then that's the week before, during the week before, the week of your topic, you'll be very active in the discussion board, interacting with people, drawing out their thoughts, asking them follow-up questions, things like that. After the week is over, you will put together a little summary of how you think it went and how your teammates worked. And I'll expect in most cases that all of your teammates will do generally equivalent work. But if there's a case where a student in your team has been a little bit absent for the week, let me know that, because their grade needs to reflect that they didn't participate much. All right. Every week there's a topic. At the end of the semester, there will be a project. Now, some things that you do in this class, you'll do individually, and some things you'll do as part of a team, and I'll go over that a little bit more when we get down to the grading criteria. You'll write 2 short papers, maybe 3 pages, 4 pages each one. The first one is a professional paper. You'll see in week number 4, you're really focusing on that, but you can work on it all the way up until then. It's due the Sunday of week 5, so the 14th. You're really focused in week 4, but it's due by Sunday night of week 5, the 14th. And in that professional paper, you will interview somebody in human resources. If you're working somewhere, it'll work to your benefit to contact somebody in your HR department where you work and say, I'd like to sit down with you for 30 minutes and ask you some questions and get your insight on HR. And then you begin to build that relationship with them. The second paper is the issue paper you see down in week number 7. For that paper, you'll go back to that HR person. You'll say, tell me something that you guys are working on in HR, something that you're really trying to figure out what our policy is going to be or how we're going to respond to this. You know, maybe it is this minimum wage thing. If the federal government says you need to raise minimum wage, we're talking about that now before it happens, and what are we doing about it? And so you're going to write a little bit about that issue. You're going to research it a little bit in SHRM, and you're going to play the role of consultant to the HR people and say, this is what, based on what I'm reading, this is what we ought to do as an organization. This is my recommendation how you're going to do it. All right. You'll notice in the activity section of the chart there that 3 times this semester we're going to have video calls. I don't know yet whether they'll be through Teams or through the Collaborate feature of our software, Georgia View, but I'll let you know ahead of time. The first one comes up in a couple of weeks, and we're just going to spend some time getting to know each other a little bit on a video call. So generally speaking, there'll be a call Monday night, Tuesday night, and Wednesday night. You do one of them for that week, or you do none of them. It's up to you. It is only for bonus points, so if you don't do it, there's no real harm. If you do it, you get a point added to your final point total. And you get to interact with folks and interact with me a little bit. So we'll have a call maybe at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock or something like that. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. You pick one of them. You join on Tuesday or you join on Wednesday. And you just interact for 45 minutes to an hour and get to know each other, ask questions, whatnot. You'll notice the project concept. You as a team will do a project. I'm going to tell you a lot more about that later. Suffice it to say that you kind of need to have an idea of what you're going to do it about, what company and what issue you're going to do it about. To tell me what that is at the end of week 11, and then the project itself is due at the end of week 16. Looking down at the bottom of page 2 there, the grading criteria, twice during the semester your team will lead a topic, and it's worth 50 points. Somewhere between 0 and 50. That will be determined, the grade will be determined by a couple of things. For that topic, let's say you have the topic of recruiting, your team 1. Sometime the week before that, so in week number 3, while we're talking about generations, your team is going to be looking through SHRM and finding 3 articles that you think are pretty good about what's going on with recruiting these days. Things that the general manager who doesn't know much about HR would find very helpful as they try to do recruiting for their jobs. So you're going to give me the week before, by Wednesday or Thursday maybe, of the week before your topic. And your topic is team 1 is February 7th through 13th. So somewhere around February the 4th or 3rd, you'll want to give me in an email one of your teammates the links to and titles to 3 articles in SHRM that you want the rest of the class to read. You'll give me a couple of discussion questions that are pretty open-ended. What do you think about this? Or tell me about a time when this, that can generate some discussion. And then you also want to give me a couple of I typically call them talking points. If you were to create one PowerPoint slide, what would be in those bullets that relate to this idea of recruiting so that folks get a general idea? So before the open of the discussion, you give me these articles and these questions, and that's part of the grading, is the quality of those articles and the quality of those questions. Then during the week, you will interact with folks, and the number of times that you post to your team's discussion board is part of the grading. I expect you to be very active. You also need to be reading the posts of your classmates, so the number of posts that you've read, I've got a function in Georgia View that'll tell me how many of the discussion posts you've read, and there's a percentage that I expect. It's like 85% is the minimum expectation, but I really want you to read 95% or more. And that's part of the grading. And then some feedback on your teammates is part of the grading as well. I'll have a rubric for that later that can give you the specifics so that you can do well. There's 2 of those that you do. That's worth 100 possible points. You do that as a group, and those 2 average together for 15% of your total grade. Each week, there's 14 of these discussion boards, starting with the development of HR. And the expectation is that you're going to post at least once by Tuesday. The later you wait, the more points you lose. That you're going to respond to at least 2 of your classmates, I think it is, during the course of the week. Not all on the same day, not all at the same time, but maybe one on Tuesday, one on Thursday, one on Friday, something like that. That you're going to have some quality in your post, not just, hey, I agree with that, that's a great post, but here's why I agree with that, or here's why I disagree with that. The initial post is somewhere in the 200, 250 word range, so it's a short paragraph. The follow-up posts, maybe 50 to 75, so a good 2 sentences maybe with some content in that. Each one of those discussion boards is worth 20 points. There's going to be a rubric for that I'll share with you so that you can get the most possible points. You do that as an individual, and that's 20%. Those 280 points consist of 20% of your grade. Your professional paper worth 100 points is an individual thing. It's only 5% of your grade. You could skip that altogether and still get an A, but it'll help you develop a relationship with an HR person, so there's some value in it. The issue paper is an individual project worth 10% of your grade. If you haven't done the professional paper, it's going to be hard to do the issue paper, so we probably do both of those. The project concept you'll do as a group. I'll tell you more about that as we get closer. It's only 25 points, and it's only 5% of your grade, but not doing it runs the risk that if you aren't perfect everywhere else, you could be in danger of losing your A. So I'll tell you more about that. The project is 25% of your grade, and it's 100 points. it's a group thing. So the grading on that to some degree is your feedback on each other, the quality of what you give me. I'll tell you a lot more about that as we get closer. The final exam is a short paper, 2 pages, where you kind of talk to me in an essay format, a Word document, about what you learned and how your perception of HR has changed over the course of the semester and how you can use HR to your advantage in the future. Nothing you have to study for, certainly not comprehensive, just big picture thinking kind of thing in a short paper. And then finally, for 10% of your grade, every week I'm expecting you to log in at least 3 times because you have to make 3 posts. But if you log in 4 times, I'll give you 5 points for that week. If you only log in 3 points, it's 3 times, it's no points. So you could get 5 points every week for logging in at least 4 different days. And I can run a report in Georgia View that tells me what days you logged in. I'll keep track of that. And every week you get 5 points. That comes up to 10% of your grade. So if every single week you log in 3 times and that's it, you're going to lose 10% of your grade, which means you can't get an A in the class. All right, there's 3 bonus calls. Each one of those is worth 1 point. At the end of the semester, we'll take your total points for topic leads, multiply that by 0.15, and that adds up towards your final grade. We'll take your 280 points, however many you got out of that for the discussion boards. You got 260 points, that's 87%. We'll multiply that by 0.20, put that into that category for final grade. Add up all of those things at the end of the semester, and then let's say that comes to 87.9 when you add up all those individual weights. If you've done all 3 bonus calls, you get 3 points added to the 87.9, and you've got a 90.9, which is an A. All right, page number 3. We've talked about most of this. You'll want to take a little bit of time and read those individual paragraphs. Check my time here. I'm at 21 minutes. I don't think there's anything in page 3 that I haven't already talked about, but you do want to read all of that and make sure that it agrees with what I've talked about on this video. On page number 4, more information that you've already talked about. As I'm thinking about the grade for things, look over that A, B, C, D, F. That's going to factor in a little bit in terms of your quality, your completeness, your thought process, and so forth. Bottom of page 4 is my generally speaking commitment to you on how fast I'll get grades back. You should find that I am quicker than most teachers in terms of giving you feedback. My daughter had some teachers during her course in college that she'd go a month and not get a grade or get any feedback. I don't believe in that. I believe in giving you feedback within a couple of days generally on what your performance was. So some of the bigger things take a little longer. So I'm building in a little bit of leeway there. Page number 5. Please log in, ideally every single day, so that you can look for announcements and things. Civility statement, we're adults, let's be kind, let's don't use foul language, let's don't take an attitude with people. When we disagree in discussion boards, let's disagree, but let's do it respectfully, let's do it with an open mind. I don't really think that I agree with that, but it's an interesting thought that I need to spend some time really thinking about, because you may be right. But here's why I think that you might be wrong, and do that in a kind and considerate way. We can expand our horizons, expand our viewpoints, and come out better. Time commitment, you ought to spend time every day doing this class. Final grades, I don't really like going back and arguing with you at the end of the semester about a particular grade. So if something doesn't seem fair, bring it to my attention early on, because there are lots of times in the past that I've thought, I hadn't thought about that. We need to make a change. And if you tell me early on, I got time to correct it to your advantage, usually in most cases. Missed work, I don't like you turning things late, because when I sit down to grade a paper, for example, I like to grade all of them at one time. If I have to grade 1 2 weeks later, I have to think back to what I did for the other ones. That second paragraph under policy on missed work, that's where I have a reminder. Write down my name and my cell phone number and give it to your brother, give it to your dad, give it to your spouse, whatever, and say, if anything happens this semester and I am out of it for 2 weeks, send a text to this guy and tell him what's going on so he'll know. You can't do discussion boards after the fact because you're not discussing with anybody. Papers, I might take them late with a reduction in points. Notice that's not just 20 points from the total. If you get an 80 on it, I can reduce 20 points and you end up with a 60 on it, but it's better than a 0. A week late, 50 points, 50%. Bottom of page 5, the other things there. Page 6, nothing really significant that you hadn't seen on other syllabi in the past. Page number 7, you don't really need Galileo and academic type stuff except for the issue paper, although you might be able to get what you need for your issue paper through SHRM. So if you need Galileo, there it is. The critical dates for the calendar from the academic calendar on page number 8. Reminder of when things need to be done for this particular class. I've listed dates for all the calls, when the papers are due, general philosophy on the discussion boards, team lead information the week before the first discussion by Tuesday night. Actually, the first discussion, initial discussion, both on this same thing. Incidentally, I should have said this earlier. I'm working off of a document that's dated 1/5/21. And you need to double check and see if you've got one that is 1/6/21 or later. It's a little bit different from what I'm going over here. Last thing here, I really like to plan everything out. I'm a detail guy. I'm a schedule guy. And I like to plan things out and stick to that plan as much as possible. It may have to change. If there's a spike in coronavirus and everybody is under the weather, we may have to revise our schedule a little bit. It could mean that one team doesn't get to do their second topic or something like that, and we'll just figure out how to do that so that it's kind of fair to everybody. But I don't change it unless I absolutely have to. All right, that gives you a little bit about me. That gives you a good bit about the syllabus. You've now got some time before class starts and before drop add ends to decide whether you want to stick it through this thing. You'll get to work with a team. You'll learn an awful lot about HR. You'll get to interact with me some. Hopefully you're getting excited about this class. You'll get real familiar with SHRM and see what a good resource that is. So much stuff in there. Webcasts on various topics, lots of opinion types of articles about current issues that are going along. Hopefully you're excited about this class. You've got my contact information. Text me, email me if you have questions. There's also going to be in our class a Ask Dr. Grimes discussion board. You can post a question out there and you can interact with each other and answer each other's questions. I can answer your questions, that sort of stuff. On the home page of our class, as soon as you get in there, I'm going to have a list of the teams and who I'm assigning you to a team. Incidentally, I should mention that real quick. I've gone through the class roster, and I have set up teams purposefully. There are 5 teams. Some of them have 5 people, some of them have 6 people. I've tried to make sure that every team has somebody that's taking their 9th or 10th class, somebody that's taking their 1st or 2nd or 3rd class. I've tried to make sure that there's a blend of guys and girls. I've tried to make sure that there is at least a 20-some-odd-year-old in each team. There is a 40 or 50-year-old in each team. So there's a good diversity within each group. You're going to want to see what team you're on. You're going to want to reach out to them through the class email system and set up your communication channels, whether it's FaceTimes or whatever it is that you use, GroupMe's or whatever. I don't even know the terminology, but go ahead and make contact with your teammates and start passing back in cell numbers back and forth and whatnot, figuring out how you can contact each other. That'll be on the homepage. This has gone on long enough, 28 stinking minutes. Thank you for putting up with all this. Hope again that you're excited about this, that you're ready to learn a lot of stuff. I hope that my reputation precedes me, that you've heard that Dr. Grimes is a pretty cool guy, that he does a pretty good job structuring the classes. And by the end of the semester, you go, you know what, he's a good resource for me to use in the future when I need a recommendation, when I need counseling, whatever the case may be. That's it for now. Give me a holler if you have any questions. And I look forward to seeing you when class officially starts.